Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Ken's TV in the house like kitchen sinks. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification so anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. Now, with no further ado, let's get into this afternoon's videos. 2:10 p.m. Sunday afternoon. About to take my little one to a place here in Kentucky where I'm at called Monkey Joe's. It's just a little place for the kids, you know, little amusement park, indoor amusement park or what have you for the kids. So take her there for a couple hours and then go to work. But nevertheless, there is a message. Now, I made a short video last week, and actually it was just a couple days ago, and I was talking about how it is for, you know, felons. And I had a lot of people chime in. You know, I had mixed emotions. You know, most people agree, but then you always got those perfect guys that chime in. Well, if you never committed a felony, then you wouldn't have to worry about this. You wouldn't have to worry about prison. And the topic was basically talking about, if you're a felon, should you be allowed to carry a gun? And, you know, some people, as I mentioned, well, you lost that privilege. First of all, it's not a privilege to be able to protect yourself along with your family. It's actually a constitutional right. Now, somewhere along the line, they say felons, we don't, it doesn't apply, you know, to us. The situation that occurred, I want to say about 10 years ago. Roughly 10 years ago. And it was a young man, quiet young man. He didn't bother nobody. Oh, excuse me, I like to eat my, I like to eat my candy. Sorry, pouches. But, he didn't bother nobody. Now, this individual that I'm speaking of, he's far from perfect, as we all are. You know, a lot of people, they like to judge others because their faults, their sins, it might not necessarily be breaking the law. Or perhaps it hasn't come to fruition. So you have a lot of these weirdos. Well, if you don't put yourself in that predicament, then you don't have anything to worry about. They probably doing more dirt than everybody. It's just covered up. You know, people cheat on their taxes, cheat on their wives. But you'll say, oh, even though I may cheat on my wife, that's not a crime. You see what I'm saying? So it's so easy to judge everybody else that's been caught. And they always got something to say. So as I was saying, this individual, cool dude, he's been caught up a couple times, you know. I want to say he had a couple drug charges. Nothing major. He ain't moving keys. He ain't moving major weight. You know, but he did get caught up, you know, a couple times selling drugs. Same drugs that they bring over here for us to sell. Truth is the truth. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it, but I needed to point that out. Now, one particular night he was out and about, and he decides he wants to stop at the gentleman's club, the strip club. You're a grown man, perfectly within his rights. He stops at the strip club. He goes inside, does what he does or whatever, you know, enjoys himself. He comes back outside. When he comes outside, he notices that there's like 3 dudes sitting on the back of his car. He got a nice car. So he notices there's 3 dudes sitting on the back of his car. He asks the dudes politely, hey, could you all please get off my car? You know, I'm about to leave. They don't even know these dudes. So just imagine you come out of a club or a bar or the mall or church or wherever you at, and there's 3 people sitting on the back of your nice car. It don't even matter if your car is nice or not. Just 3 people sitting on the back of your car. So he asked them nicely, you know, could you all please get off my car or whatever. Now, keep in mind, this dude is about 5'5", weighs no more than probably 140, 150 pounds. Like I said, he's by himself. Doesn't bother anybody. These sour pouches sure are good. Never had them? Let me try you some. A little free promotion. Sour pouch. But at any rate, he nicely asked him to get off his car. They don't move. He asked him again, would y'all please get off my car? You know, I'm trying to leave. So always somebody in the crowd that's a wise guy, tough guy. F your car. What you gonna do? We run this over here. As I mentioned, he's 5'5", about 140, 150 pounds. Not to say that he's not a tough guy or anything like that, but, you know, obviously he didn't want any problems. He didn't want no smoke. So he goes to his car. When he goes to his car, he's attempting to drive off. The dude still don't want to get off of his car. Now, he could have just drove off and the guys would have failed or what have you, but I guess they was testing his gangster. He's like, bruh, could you please get off my car? I'm trying to leave. It's in the summertime. It's warm outside. So, you know, his head's kind of out the window like, bruh, could you please, you know, I'm trying to go. Dude hits him. Bam! Connects. Busts his mouth, all that. So now, he's like, oh, man. He's still trying to leave the situation. Grab him, pull him out the car, rough him up a little bit. Well, actually, not a little bit. You know, they beat him up. But they ain't just stomp him out, but they beat him up. He's able to make it back to his car. He's running to try to get to his car to get away. But they're still, even after they done already beat him up, they continuously want to beat him up some more. Let him know, talking crazy, trying to humiliate him, kicking him, trying to go in his pockets. He's able to make it back to his car. Gets in the car, he grabs his thing, his gun, his pistol, his pipe, his protection, his heater. He comes out of the car. What's up? A couple of them, of course, retreat. But it's always, as I mentioned, it's always one. I don't know. I guess he feels as though he's bulletproof. Individual, he's still charging after him, coming after him. Dude's telling him, back up, man. I just want to leave. I don't want no problems. Back up. Get out my car and let me leave. A couple of them are retreating. But you got this one individual, like I said, he made a kryptonite, evidently. So he thought. He continues to come forward. Hits him again. Pow! Dude got a gun. Hits him again. Pow! He backs up. Pow! 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 Fires on him. I don't know exactly how many times, but it was multiple times. Fires on the dude. Dude's laying on the ground. Everybody's panicking, running, jumping around. Dude gets in his car and he leaves. Well, of course, they know who he is. He's at a strip club. He's at a, you know, there's cameras everywhere. There's witnesses or what have you. They come and arrest him. Arrest him on a murder charge. So now he's sitting in the county jail with a very, very expensive bond on a murder charge. So, you know, his family, he come from a, you know, pretty good family, what have you. They hire him one of the best attorneys around. I think the lawyer charged like $50,000. The dad had to sell his Cadillac, sell a couple items or what have you to pay for his attorney. Excuse me. He goes to trial. Now, the whole time, the prosecutors knew exactly what was going on. So instead of them just saying, okay, we're going to charge you with this, a lesser charge. No, we're going to start at the top and charge you with a murder charge. Knowing everything was on video. They had witnesses. They still charge him with murder. So these are the things that a lot of people don't understand. These are the things that a lot of people, when they're so judgmental, they don't understand how the system will overcharge you tremendously overcharge you just to get a conviction out of it. So you got to be a certain type of individual to be a prosecutor, in my opinion. So like I said, he sits in the county. They eventually bond him out, and he's on house arrest. So, he can go back and forth to work and church and, things like that, the store. But besides that, he can't leave the house. He's fighting this case for like 2.5 years. Goes to trial. They don't want to drop the murder charge on him whatsoever. He has probably the best attorney around. He knows that he's going to get convicted on something. And that something would be the fact that he had a gun. Felon in possession of a handgun. You can't have a gun. You're a felon. You cannot have a gun, regardless of what the situation is. You can't have a gun. So he goes to trial. He knows that he's going to be convicted on that, but felon in possession of a handgun carries 5 to 10. Murder carries 20 to life. So it's a tremendous difference between the two, if you will. He goes to trial. His lawyer points out everything that I've just mentioned, everything, and when the jury deliberates, they come back not guilty for murder. Not guilty. But what they do is they find him guilty for reckless homicide. So reckless homicide is a lesser included offense. Now what that means is, for you all that don't understand the law lingo, a lesser included offense means just basically what I said. Okay, we can find you guilty of murder. We can find you guilty of homicide, which carries, I think, 10 to 20. As I mentioned, murder carries 20 to life. Homicide carries... Actually, let me rewind that. For y'all that never seen my videos, I'm not editing at this point. So if I mess up or I need to, say something in a different manner, I'll just manually... They can find him guilty of murder, which carries 20 to life. They can find him guilty of manslaughter, which carries 10 to 20. Or they can find him guilty of reckless homicide, which carries 1 to 5. So now that we got that clear, the lawyer, they do a great job. As I mentioned, he knew that he was going to be convicted of something because he had the gun. Felons can't have guns. You can't protect yourself. So the jury comes back, murder, not guilty. Manslaughter, not guilty. Reckless homicide, guilty. They understood the circumstances of the matter. I don't even know why they found him guilty of reckless homicide, to be honest. What was he supposed to do? Like, the guy blatantly was trying to retreat. What was he supposed to do? But the jury felt as though after you shot him once, you was safe. But you popped him. Pow, 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 pow. Now, he didn't shoot him 10 times or nothing. But he shot him multiple times. And the jury felt as though he shouldn't have done that. And that's some BS. Because when you're in the moment, you're in the moment. You're not thinking, okay, I shot him once. Nah, man, the adrenaline's flowing. You concerned about your safety. But nevertheless, that's what they gave him. They gave him a year sentence. They sentenced him to a year. Well, once they gave him, they recommended a year. No problem. He would have served that out because all the time that he had been doing on house arrest, that counts towards his sentence. But there's a trick to it. There's a second phase of a trial. You have your regular trial, then you go to your sentencing phase. The sentencing phase is the jury sees your entire record. They see your entire record. So they see that this guy was already a 2-time felon. He was a drug dealer. We didn't know that initially at the trial, but now we know that. So that year that the jury recommended actually I'm wrong again. They recommended 5 years. I'm sorry. The jury recommended 5 years, not a year. They recommended 5 years. When in the state of Kentucky, you do 20% of your time, which would be a year in his case. You see the parole board. He had already been out for 2.5 years, so he was going to be immediately eligible for parole once his paperwork went through in a couple months. So they recommended a 5-year sentence. But once they seen his past, now they have an option to give him an additional 10 to 20 years on top of the time that they already recommended. Because in Kentucky, it's called a persistent felony offender. If you've had 2 felonies, they'll enhance your sentence by 5 to 10 years. Actually, 1 to 5 years. If you've had 2 felonies, they'll enhance your sentence 5 to 10 years. So once they seen his criminal background or what have you, they came back with a recommendation of 15 years. 5 for the reckless homicide, as I mentioned, and then another 10 years for the persistent felony offender. They could have given him 20, but they gave him 10 on the persistent felony offender, 5 on the reckless homicide for 15 years, a total of 15 years, in which he would have to do 3 years to the parole board. Well, he had already done 2.5 years on house arrest. The judge scolded him so bad, and this was one of the coolest judges. She was a black judge. She was the only black judge. And a lot of times they used to try to get her off the bench because they were saying that she was lenient, or she was more, she didn't sentence blacks the way that they wanted her to sentence blacks. She didn't throw the book at people. And it wasn't just blacks, anybody. She didn't throw the book at you. Now, if it was something violent, you've been out there shooting people on a shooting spree, and robbing and stabbing, and that's different. That's different. Ray Larson was the Commonwealth attorney here for a lot of years. He dead now. But he couldn't stand felons. He couldn't stand inmates. Couldn't stand them. And would talk so crazy. He would show no love. He would show no empathy, sympathy, anything of those sorts. Ray Larson, and he got up through there. So he's no longer with us. Fire your babysitters. So this particular case, he was involved. He gets involved in the big cases like that. And no one really understood why he got involved, because it's like, dude was trying to protect himself. So at the final sentencing or what have you, the judge, she went with the jury's recommendation of 15 years, and she talked so sternly to the guy. And his lawyer was basically saying, along with him, because, it's your final sentence, you get an opportunity to speak too. But the lawyer was just saying, Your Honor, we understand that he shouldn't have had this gun, but if he didn't, he would have died. Or he would have been hurt severely. If he didn't have this gun to protect himself, we understand that he's a felon, he shouldn't have had a gun, but he wasn't out looking to hurt anybody, shoot anybody, rob anybody, anything of those sorts. He just had the gun for his protection. She wasn't hearing that. 15 years. Department of Corrections. Up the river. He sent up the river. 15 years. Now, while I agree he dodged a major bullet by not being convicted of that murder charge, think about it. What if his family didn't have $50,000 to hire that attorney? What if they didn't have the bond money to put up to get him out on bond so he could be on house arrest? So now you sitting in the county jail, because they will stretch you out. Now, when I say stretch you out, I mean they'll keep you in that county jail 3-4 years, just continuing your court dates. Every time you go back to court, 3-month continuance, 6-month continuance. To the point to where you just like, listen, man, I'm ready to get out of this county jail. Get me to the pen. Yeah, I plead guilty. They know that. They definitely play a dirty game. Now, I know it's some weirdos. Well, he never should have sold drugs, and he wouldn't have been in that situation, and that's true. Don't get me wrong. And you have to be accountable for your actions. But he already served time. You see what I'm saying? He already served time for those drug charges. So the jury gives him 5 years and you all enhance his sentence an additional 10 years because of 2 prior nonviolent small drug cases that he had, that he's already served time on. You give him an additional 10 years. See, these are the things that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are not aware of. They send you to prison, man. There's no reform in prison. Every once in a while, you might go to, like, if you go to a real prison, you might be able to get a trade or get some class, but that's even hard to do because the waiting list is so long. You got guys that have been there for years. So you can't just, go to prison and jump in this class and that class and, obtain this trade and that trade. No, it doesn't work like that. Prison is a business. They want you out there cutting grass, weed eating. They want you, working in the kitchen, working in the laundry, doing all these things that once you are actually released back into society, what have you learned? People think that you just go to prison and it's just like, oh man, it was such a bad experience that I'll never go back again just because. No, it's a bad experience. Don't get me wrong. And there's nothing fun about prison. But what happens is when you get back out into society, what have I learned? What skill do I have? So you often end up going back to what you once did because now you're in a worse situation because everything that you had, 9 times out of 10, you've lost it. Somebody's stolen it. The police took it. When you locked up, man, it's hard to, get people to go get all your stuff out of your house if you live by your house. And, so you get out, you have nothing. It's hard to get a job. Might want to hire you if you're a felon. Yeah, if you want to go work on a construction site, wash somebody's dishes, flip somebody's burgers, work in somebody's factory. And those things are cool. Don't get me wrong. Those things are cool to do initially, when you first come home. And, you're trying to graduate to the next. So I'm not knocking any of those things. But the options that you have are very, very limited. And then you'll forever be branded. Unless you get a pardon or you're able to get your record expunged several years later, you'll never be able to carry a gun. You'll never be able to, you can actually vote now once you're off probation or parole. But you'll always be forever judged on that felony charge that you had. I seen a dude get 15 years for child support. He goes to trial, which I don't know why he went to trial. And the jury gave him 5 years for child support. Then, same situation. They went to the sentencing phase. They seen that he was a 2-time felon. Gave him an additional 10 years for being a persistent felony offender. And he goes and gets 15 years for child support. Yeah, the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. You can get 15 years for child support. Seen it a couple times. So it's just one of those things to where it's like, man, you go to get a nice apartment. I'm sorry, sir. Can't be approved. Criminal background. Oh, you can be approved over here at these apartments. Well, we got a little bed bug problems and, a couple roaches here and there. But, I mean, come on, man. Are we all human beings? Who wants to live with roaches and bed bugs? It's just a situation that it is. Now, when I make these videos, these are videos to deter people from going to prison. See, a lot of people, they don't watch the entire video or they just don't comprehend very well. They think they're so smart, but they just don't comprehend very well because they'll make it as though I'm getting on here complaining and crying and, well, you shouldn't have done this. No, I'm trying to stop people from going to prison. Stop our young generation from thinking that the streets is where it's at, because it's not. All this rap music, all these things you see on the video, all this fake, it's false. Don't fall for the okie doke, the banana in the tailpipe. It's very easy to do. Everything that glitters is not gold. I'm not getting on here complaining. I'm not getting on here crying. It is what it is, man. You got to play the cards that you dealt, or that you dealt yourself in some situations. Life's not fair. It's just what it is. You take a guy like LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal. These dudes, man, was just born with that talent. They ain't never had to work no real job. They ain't never had to get out here and grind, but they get on TV, man, I worked hard to get this. No, God gave you a gift. God gave you a gift, and you was able to capitalize on that gift. That's just what life is. Life's not fair. Ain't no reason to cry about it. You just, you make the best of it. You make something out of it. You don't have to go back to prison. I've been out, several years. Make it work. You just got to figure out a way to make it work. So that's the reason for me making these videos. It's not to get on here and cry. I'm not crying about anything. I'm happy every day. Every day. I'm happy every day. Delivering my little pizzas, man. You know what I'm saying? I got my YouTube channel. A couple other things that, that I'm working on. This is not forever. But right now, it's a stepping stone for me. Just what it is, man. You know what I mean? Stay out in them streets, youngsters. And for the people that say, oh, I get tired of you always talking about the youngsters, because that's who it is. Yeah, there's older people but they're not listening to me. People my age, why would they listen to me? But an 18-year-old might, a 15-year-old might, 16-year-old might, you might not. And if you don't, you're just going to deal with the consequences of going to penitentiary. Felice Johnson talks about it all the time. They send him to prison at 15 years old. An adult prison. These prosecutors, man, these judges, they don't give a damn about you. They give you 100 years to go home and, hey, honey, what's for dinner? And, makes them no difference. Do the right thing when you're out. Stay doing the right thing. And you don't have to worry about these situations that I'm speaking of. Real Kens TV. Hopefully this video was informative to you. Feel free to, actually like the video. Feel free to definitely comment. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. One more thing. No longer a Dallas Cowboy fan. For you all that follow me, I'm a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan. Done with Dallas, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. Till Jerry Jones gets out of the way, Jerry and Stephen Jones, his son, I can't do it. So sad. Real Kens TV. We out.